Hey everyone, from Hoach over here. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of my series Stream of Consciousness. Um, for those who haven't seen it before, it's essentially where I just let out my thoughts on Jiu Jitsu and anything that might benefit anyone. And I'm kind of just letting my mind flow, and yeah, it's essentially what it is. It's not essentially like a talk series, but yeah. So today I came up with a cool idea. I wanted to give people, and I wanted to talk about like almost like a jiu-jitsu hack that people don't I haven't seen anyone necessarily talk about, no on high level, no on low level. I haven't seen it online. I haven't heard anyone talk about it in person before. And this is almost like an invisible jiu-jitsu hack. Like this is probably some shit that a lot of high level guys do but don't necessarily articulate all that well, or perhaps like don't even pay attention to it because they're just like, oh, doesn't everyone do that? So yeah, so I'm gonna get into it. So what I've written down here, it's a very simple approach to like almost dealing with positions, and I think this is really applicable to passing. I haven't tested it out with guard as much, but particularly when passing, one thing I want to talk about is literally just stiffening up your body. So it's like, okay, so I'm gonna get into that. So essentially the concept is, or the tangible, like actionable piece of advice is that like a lot of the times when you have a situation, someone is attacking you. So let's say someone is attacking like a really like strong sleeve attack on you. They're in collar sleeve and they're pulling your elbow a little bit further than you want to. One of the things that gets emphasized in jiu-jitsu a lot is to like flow out of positions and move all the time. But one of the things that actually doesn't get mentioned all that much is just stiffening up instead. So one of the things that I would recommend to everyone is just to, when something happens, experiment with flow, but then experiment with just stiffening up and not letting anything happen to you. And it's almost like you just think of yourself almost as just like a rock that can't be moved. And if you apply that, it's going to actually help you a lot with just stopping and blocking attacks. And I think this is something that has like tremendous benefits because I've experienced it with particular. I'm not going to give away like the things that people have hit on me, but just like when people are doing certain attacks, I just stiffen up, and then basically what it does, it just stops them in their track. You're just a brick wall. They hit it, and then there's nothing happens afterwards, and then you can counter attack and things. And this is almost like when I'm referencing the invisible jiu-jitsu, like a way to change positions without changing positions. So it's just like, okay, you're trying to flow out of it. Why as if you just stiffen up for a moment, and then they have to adjust to that because like the flow work. If you're flowy, they're going to have to be flowy because there's going to be a lot of movement. But if you stiffen up, they're going to have to like if they're going to flow a little too much, you're probably going to be able to like stiffen up, go into a flow again, attack, then stiffen up again, then you're in this kind of like almost rinse and repeat cycle. I'm not going to say it's exactly a rinse and repeat cycle because there's going to be changes in the in like the timings that you do it, but it's gonna be something that changes the position without actually changing the position. It's what like people like to reference as invisible jiu-jitsu, or at least one part of it. So yeah, so that's exactly it. So this is the hardcore tip. If you're getting beaten in a certain position, instead of trying to flow out of it, just stiffen up your body, block the attack, and then do something. Okay? Or if you're trying to get offense going and you can't flow out of it, stiffen up, then attack. That's the tangible tip. Okay, so right there. And now I'm going to explain like why why it works, or at least the origin of thought that came from it. So I have a few friends that are strikers, and I tend to like to watch striking too a lot, and I like taking the ideas and applying them to jiu-jitsu. So this is almost taking like the idea of like a high guard, particularly in Dutch kickboxing, where like there's a difference when someone hits your guard and your guard is soft and you can still get cracked. But there's also a different when someone hits your guard, you tense up and then you can throw a counter strike. That's exactly the same concept. So it's like in I'm not sure if everyone calls it this, but like the catch and shoots in Dutch kickboxing, where like guys will throw a kick, they block it, they counter, block, counter, and kind of like that stiffness and the tenseness in the guard. You can kind of apply that same kind of concept in terms of just like having a strong guard versus a weak guard. And I think this is very, very applicable to like a lot of positions in jiu-jitsu. I've got to honestly experiment with this a little bit more. This is just something that kind of came to me yesterday when I was on a walk. So yeah, so it's just stealing boxing timings and like the concept, like almost like concepts around their guard and applying it to jiu-jitsu. So yeah, that's essentially it. Like, this is honestly a very short episode. I don't really think there's anything more I can add to it. In terms of why it works, okay, so that's just one thing I've got it down. Well, I mean, if first principally, if you're talking to like on an absolute truth level, they just can't move your body, they can't really attack you. Okay, and, like it's like if you're a statue and they can't move you, like they need to move you to score points. So if you just stop being moved, then they're not going to be able to score points on you. Of course, that is a little bit of an oversimplification, because if someone catches an angle, you're going to have to respond, because like they're going to be able to move you at a certain point. Say if you just stand still and someone just runs around you and fucking spear tackles you, you're going to get taken down. But this works very well in moments. So it's like, okay, someone's doing an attack, I stiffen up to block it. Once the attack fails, then I start going into my move. And then to settle a position, maybe I tense up, I stop moving, I tire them out, or they're trying to attack me, I tire them out by squeezing really hard, and then I finish my attack. Or like once I've deflected their attack, then I move into my own. So yeah, that's the concept. Very short episode today, not a very extensive thing, just like a stream of consciousness. This is a line of thinking that I had, and something that's very applicable. This is like almost like an invisible jiu-jitsu tip, and no one I've ever seen talks about this. Maybe someone has referenced it, but yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate it, and yeah, thank you for everything. Follow me on Instagram at shortthickboy, and if you're on YouTube, please subscribe or like, do whatever you got to do there, and yeah, leave any thoughts or like notes in the comments. I'll appreciate it. Thank you.